Welcome to a little video on how to replace a porcelain bowl inside a granite or quartz countertop. Now, if you're like me, you find yourself in a position where you need to replace the bowl. Chances are you have a porcelain bowl like I did, because porcelain bowls are susceptible to damage. They can be cracked really easy, or they can be chipped. And so now you're wondering, can I replace just the bowl without replacing the whole countertop? And yes, you can. One option obviously is to call a countertop fabricator and tell them the story and have them come out and replace the bowl inside the countertop. The other question is, if you're watching this video, you might be like me and you're wondering, can you do it yourself? Yes, you probably can if you are very handy and have a bit of know-how. I'm not a professional countertop installer, I'm not a fabricator, but I do work in construction, so I've seen a lot of these go in, and I feel pretty confident that I can do this myself, and I figured I would pass that knowledge on to others if it in fact helps. If it doesn't, oh well, thanks for watching the video. If it does help, well, maybe it gives you a little bit of info on how to tackle this on your own. As I mentioned, I was wondering if I could do this without replacing the whole countertop, and I actually have a double vanity here. I'll show you the other one in a minute. That's the one I'm actually replacing, so I just wanted to do the bowl rather than the whole thing. The tricky part is, especially if you have a double vanity, is finding a bowl that matches what you already had, especially if it's a double vanity, because you want to make sure they match, but also because fabricators will fabricate their cutouts according to the bowl template. So this is, even though this is a 14 by 17, not all manufacturers are exactly 14 by 17. Some of them may be 14 and a quarter, some of them may be 14 and an eighth. Some of them may stop the glazing of their bowl a little bit shy. So when you go and you try and get a replacement bowl and you fit it in there, you're going to find that it may not work. So try and find one that works. Try and find the exact bowl if you can match the manufacturer. And then always dry fit it. Before you even start, just if you have the old ones out, just put it up in place and make sure that it does actually match your opening all the way around. Now, if you can't find the same bowl, you're going to have to hunt a little bit more harder. You might have to get a couple of different bowls and try it. If you have a double vanity like this is, you might actually be doing this to both sides so that you can do two bowls that match, because not everybody's whites match and all these other kinds of things. So that's the first task. If you can get by that step, that's a huge one. Now, before removing the bowl, you're going to have to remove the drain on the plumbing. I'm not getting into plumbing on this video. I'll give you just a little synopsis of what's done, but watch other videos on how you disassemble a drain. But what most you'll find is this one's actually a push top. It pushes and comes up, so this unscrews. This is underneath it. You'll find a large nut with a washer on the underside. Basically, you undo that, you pop this out, and that separates you from your drain. But like I said, watch other videos or check the manufacturer or schematics if you can get them for your drain on how to get that out. Now, once the plumbing has been removed, you're going to have to see how your bowl is held in place. A little bit of the older style was they would have metal clips up underneath, and then they would put a bead of silicone on the bowl rim and then press up in place and then screw the screws in on those metal clips. So you're going to have to undo those metal clips. And then what I'm going to show you is very similar for removing the silicone, but this bowl, we were able to find out that the manufacturers use an adhesive only. In fact, they used Black Mamba. We found out that they use that. That's becoming more and more popular now. This is not a Black Mamba video. It just so happens that this bowl was installed with Black Mamba. So I'm going to show you how to get it out, and then I'm going to show you it going back in with the Black Mamba. So basically, you're going to need a couple of tools to do this. You are going to need some shims. These are plastic composite, available at most home centers, Lowe's, Home Depots, other places like that. They're a little bit better for doing this than wood, so you want a few shims. You want at least 3. I only had 2 for right here, but you want at least 3. Then you're going to need a putty knife, a decently sharp one. It doesn't need to be razor sharp, but it does need to be basically new sharp from the store. What you're going to do is you're going to want to start in a portion of the bowl. You're going to put that between the bowl and the countertop, and you're going to want to shove it in. Now, this is the bowl I'm not replacing, so I'm not taking this one out. I'll show you in a minute the one I'm replacing. But you're going to want to shove this in there, and it's going to be hard, especially if they use the Black Mamba. You're going to need to push that in, and push, and push, and push, and then you're going to need to pull it out, and it's going to need a couple of hands. You're going to want to move it half a blade width over. Same thing, shove it in, pull out, half a blade width, shove in, pull out. Once you get a little bit around, you're going to want to take your shim, and you're going to want to jam that in there. as far as you can get that to go. Keep going with your putty knife around and around and around. Once you get down a few inches, a second shim. Keep going. Putty knife, keep going. Take your third shim, shove it in. Once you get into a third shim, you can start leapfrogging your shims, but always leave your first one in place. Leapfrog your shims, keep going around and around, putty knife, and what you'll start to see is the bowl will start to separate from the countertop. This is where a second pair of hands comes in huge, because if you can get somebody else to get underneath the vanity and hold that bowl up, that's great, because you might need two hands to work this around, especially if they use the Black Mamba or another really strong adhesive to get that all the way around, and then the bowl will drop out. Now, once the bowl drops and you pull it out, you're going to have, what I'm going to show you here in just a second, something that looks more or less like this. You're going to have an empty spot where your bowl was. Now, what's the next step? You can't just go and grab your new bowl and squirt your adhesive on it and shove it back up in there. The underside of this counter needs to be clean. Really, really, really clean. So you're going to go back to your putty knife, and you're going to take your putty knife and you're going to start going around and keep going around, and you're going to go around and you're going to go around and you're going to go around, and you're going to take off everything you possibly can. Keep feeling it with your fingers. Look under there. See if you see any adhesive. Keep going around, going around. This is only going to take you down so far. The next thing you're going to need is a utility, flat edge utility. You're going to take just this utility blade and you're going to do the same thing. Clean, clean, clean underneath. Keep scraping all the way, all the way, all the way, all the way around. If you spend 3 to 5 minutes doing this, it's not long enough. This, getting the adhesive off, especially if they use silicone, because silicone just tends to ball up. But the Black Mamba too, if they've used adhesive, you're going to need to get this as clean as you can and feel under there. Once you can't see any more adhesive, feel it with your fingers. Keep going around. Find a little high spot. Keep going, keep going. I can't emphasize that enough. If you talk to any of these adhesive manufacturers, they're probably going to tell you that it needs to be as clean as you possibly can get it. Once you've done that, you're going to now need to go around with a solvent, because you need to get any residue or oils off. This is a Quartz countertop. I was advised not to use acetone on a Quartz countertop. So I was advised to use denatured alcohol, which is what I did. Take some denatured alcohol, put it on a rag, and go underneath and keep rubbing and cleaning and rubbing and cleaning, rubbing and cleaning. Do another set with a clean rag again and again until you get all of that adhesive off. Now I forgot to tell you, between the putty knife and the razor blade, I also took a little bit of sandpaper, like 120 grit, and just lightly sanded as much as I could under there. Then went back and hit it with the razor, and then took my denatured alcohol and went around. So hopefully that gets you to the point where at least your bowl is out, you're prepped, and you're ready for your new bowl. And then I'll show you the bowl and see how that goes in. All right. All right, so for this next step, here's the bowl. I was able to match the exact same manufacturer, so this is the bowl that's going in. But I just wanted to stop here just for a second to let you know that you also need to denature alcohol the edge of this before you apply any of the adhesive, so that make sure there's no oils or contaminants on this. Then when you apply the adhesive, and I'm applying the Black Mamba, make sure that when you do, you only apply to the back half of the lip. You do not want the adhesive squirting through and showing up on the inside, because adhesives like Black Mamba or some others, they're very, very difficult to get clean. So if it does, when it does squish, you want it to squish up to pretty close to the edge, but not over. So only apply adhesive on the back half of the lip. So the next stage will be going in. All right. Apply the adhesive to the bowl. So now we're going to do the installation. And I've got an assistant here because it does help to have two hands with this. Go under the sink. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. You don't want to get the adhesive anywhere. Nice and easy. Coming in. Line it up. Get where you need to be. push. Nice and easy. Make sure things look good. Nice and straight. Everything looks good. Push. You gotta push for a minimum of 10 seconds with Black Mamba. And push. And push. All right, we've been pushing for 10 seconds. Just give it a little longer. Make any minor adjustments. How are we looking?
Go back a little bit. Go back towards the faucet a little. That's good.
Okay.
And you don't want to go any further that way. Just lift it up.
Okay.
Edge right here.
It's looking good. Things are lined up. We can let go.
Can I get a Q-tip for this?
Yep, we'll clean it up. Just double checking, making sure everything looks good. And that is in. And now we're going to move on to, we'll clean up a little bit, but I'm going to stop it here. And that should be about it. And I'll come back in just a second. So here it is installed. Just to recap what we had done, we dropped out the old bowl. We put in a new one. We used Black Mamba adhesive. Before you embark on this, see if you can get the right bowl. Hopefully you can get the same manufacturer as the one you had to take out to make sure that it actually fits in there. Always dry fit it before you ever attempt this, because you want to make sure you have the right bowl that's going to work. We used Black Mamba just because that's what they had used previously, so we reused it again, made sure our underside was really nice and clean, and then we press fit that in there with the adhesive. With the Black Mamba, you got to make sure you push that for at least 10 seconds, really good push. And you have a nice little bit of working time after you push that up to just make sure you check all your edges, make sure you don't have any glaze that's the edge of it that's showing, make sure it's all tucked up under there, and you got a little bit of an overhang all the way around. That's why you also got to make sure you dry fit it before you actually attempt this, so that once you do have the adhesive, because it's kind of a go no go. Once the adhesive's on there and once you start working on this, you got to keep moving. There's no returning back without making a mess and having to clean it all up. So once you get that in place though, you can shift it just a little bit and always make sure your drain lines up, make sure you got a nice edge all the way around. Give it 24 hours before you start working on the drain again, because you want to make sure that that adhesive cures really well so that you don't end up moving this thing around or pushing it back out. So hopefully that helps somebody out there, and just a little informational video, and have a great day.